Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50 stories from around the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin. In our top stories, US President Joe Biden has assured a peaceful transfer of power to President-elect Donald Trump. Biden also urged the citizens to bring down the temperature. Biden's remarks follow Trump's election victory. President Biden also hailed his deputy Kamala Harris and said that she led an inspiring campaign. President-elect Donald Trump has chosen his campaign manager, Susan Wiles, to serve as his White House chief of staff. She will be the first woman to serve as the White House staff chief. This was the first appointment for Trump's administration. Some more staffing announcements are expected to follow. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has appointed Ambassador Stephen Mull for a swift transition to President-elect Donald Trump's administration. He will look after the coordination with Trump's team on behalf of the State Department. However, the department has not made any contact with Trump's team until now. An Indian External Affairs Minister, S. Jaishankar, says that India could benefit from Trump's victory in the U.S. election. He made the comments at a business event in Australia. Jaishankar said that the US election could bring more disruption to the world order. The minister added that India has the opportunity to take advantage of this. And Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke with US President-elect Donald Trump. The two leaders discussed several issues, including the US-Mexico-Canada Free Trade Agreement, and they also discussed shared interest in secure and reliable supply chains and ongoing unfair trade practices in the global economy. And Russian President Vladimir Putin congratulated US President-elect Donald Trump on his election victory. He further added that Russia was ready for dialogue with the US. Meanwhile, in a recent interview, Trump also said that he might hold talks with Russia. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that calls for a ceasefire in Ukraine were dangerous and irresponsible. His remarks followed a European summit in Budapest. Zelensky added that there was no guarantee of security for Ukraine. This comes after the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban reiterated his call for a ceasefire. Israel Katz took oath as the new Israeli defense minister yesterday. Katz was serving as the country's foreign minister. This follows the dismissal of the former defense minister Yoav Gallant. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu fired Gallant after differences over the war in Gaza. And the United States said that Israel will open a new border crossing to allow aid inside Gaza. The new crossing may reopen in the next few days. The announcement comes ahead of the November 13th deadline imposed by the US on Israel. The US gave Israel a deadline to improve humanitarian situation in Gaza or risk losing some of its military assistance. An airstrike by Israeli Defense Forces killed at least 12 people in Gaza yesterday. The strike that hit a school in the Al-Shati refugee camp also injured several others. According to Gaza's Civil Defense Agency, at least 27 people lost their lives in raids by Israeli forces across the Gaza Strip yesterday. And in the Netherlands, Israeli football fans were attacked in the capital Amsterdam by pro-Palestinian demonstrators. The violence took place after a football match. The Netherlands Prime Minister Dick Schoof has condemned the anti-Semitic attacks. According to reports so far, over 50 people have been arrested for these attacks. Meanwhile, Israel has offered assistance to its citizens feeling threatened in the country. And Canada has banned Australia Today media platform in the country, and this came after the Australian news platform aired Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar's press conference. India described Canada's Media Ban Act as strange. New Delhi said that the ban is reflective of Ottawa's hypocrisy toward freedom of speech. Meanwhile, in India, the import ban on Salman Rushdie's book, The Satanic Verses, was effectively lifted. This came after the Indian government failed to produce the 1988 notification that banned the book's import. The Delhi High Court said it has no other option but to presume that no such notification exists. Rushdie's book is criticized by some Muslims as blasphemous. And onto some climate news now. Typhoon Yingxing has battered the northern Philippines. Intense wind and heavy rainfall damaged homes and knocked out power in the region. The storm prompted the evacuation of at least 17,000 people. The government has mobilized supplies and emergency teams to aid those affected. And Hurricane Rafael has torn through western Cuba yesterday. The hurricane devastated the farm-rich Artemisa province and the supplies of much of Havana's food. The violent winds knocked down power lines and damaged homes and a local stadium. The U.S. National Hurricane Center said that Rafael had moved into the Gulf of Mexico. And in northwest Los Angeles, over 10,000 people were evacuated from several areas amid raging wildfires. Several injuries and significant property losses were reported. Now, the more than 90 homes destroyed and over 30,000 residents at risk. The fire, fueled by dry grass, charred 20,000 acres of land. And a blizzard warning has been issued in parts of southern western New Mexico. And this says heavy snowfall is expected to lash the region. Areas like Glorieta Mesa have already witnessed snowfall, leading to dangerous driving conditions, and New Mexico State Police have closed several roads, while power outages have affected over 30,000 customers in central New Mexico. And Japan's iconic Mount Fuji experienced its first snowfall of the season after the longest delay on record, stretching back 130 years. Snow appeared on the peak nearly a month later than usual, following Japan's hottest summer on record. And in an unexpected turn of events, Saudi Arabia's Al Jawf region witnessed its first recorded snowfall, transforming the typically arid desert landscape into an unusual winter scene. The unprecedented snowfall followed intense rainfall and hailstorms in the kingdom. Meteorologists attribute this rare phenomenon to a low-pressure system originating in the Arabian Sea. And according to a new research, carbon emissions from private jet travel surged by 46% between 2019 and 2023. The study revealed that private jet CO2 emissions peaked during the European summer and around high-profile events like the World Cup, Cannes Film Festival and the UN Climate Summits. Now, researchers analyzed flight data from 18.7 million chartered flights. And on to business and tech news now. The US Federal Reserve decided to once again lower interest rates yesterday. This time it stuck to a quarter percentage point cut, bringing the interest rate to the range of 4.5 to 4.75%. Now, meanwhile, the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell shrugged off the impact of election on monetary policy. Powell said that in the near term, the election will have no effect on their decisions. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said that he would not resign if asked by President-elect Donald Trump. Powell noted that firing a Federal Reserve governor is not permitted under the law. Powell was appointed to the U.S. Central Bank during Trump's first term, although he later clashed with the Republican leader over his policies. Powell's term as Federal Reserve Chair ends in 2026. And U.S. stock markets rose to reach a new record high after the Federal Reserve interest rate cuts. The S&P 500 rose by 0.74%, while the Nasdaq Composite jumped 1.5%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the session flat. Now, this was the second consecutive day that Wall Street climbed to a record. And the Standing Committee of China's top legislative body, the National People's Congress, is set to conclude its meeting today. The committee is expected to announce economic stimulus measures to help China's ailing economy. China is facing slower growth prospects amid a property market crisis and declining consumer demand. Meanwhile, large debt piled up at the city government level is also a cause for concern. And Boeing will pay the workers it furloughed during the 7-week strike by the U.S. factory workers. The move was announced by the planemaker's CEO Kelly Ortberg. This is after about 33,000 factory workers went on strike, halting production in September. The planemaker had also outlined plans to cut 17,000 jobs. The CEO said that Boeing will continue with this plan. And the share prices of Japanese automaker Nissan tumbled by over 6% today. This came a day after the firm announced massive cuts to its workforce. Nissan plans to lay off 9,000 workers worldwide as it faces declining profits. The automaker saw its profits plunge by 85% between July and September this year. Nissan also plans to reduce its global production capacity to cut costs. And the U.S. Department of Energy has approved a loan of $475 million for Li-Cycle Holdings. Now, the firm focuses on recycling metals from used electric batteries. It plans to build a battery processing facility in New York. The loan for Li-Cycle is part of the outgoing U.S. President Biden's key agenda for EV transitions. An American home rental company, Airbnb, has reported a 10% jump in revenue for the third quarter. The firm earned over $3.7 billion in revenue between July and September. The earnings were boosted by growth in the Asia-Pacific and Latin American markets. However, Airbnb also saw its expenses rise by over 27%. The firm said that this was due to new investments in markets like Brazil and Japan. And a technical outage has hit immigration services at major airports in Australia. Authorities say the disruption is due to a glitch in an automated facial recognition system. It has led to long queues at international terminals. Immigration staff are now manually processing details of travelers. And e-commerce giant Amazon is reportedly in talks with artificial intelligence startup Anthropic. The firm plans to make a second multi-billion-dollar investment in Anthropic. Amazon has already invested $4 billion in the firm. Anthropic's AI chatbot Claude is seen as a key rival to OpenAI's chatbot ChatGPT. And moving on to sports news, and we start with cricket. West Indies beat England by 8 wickets in the third and final one-day international match in Barbados. Now, Kisa Karti's 100 helped West Indies chase down the 264-run target with 3 overs to spare. Shai Hope led the side to clinch the series 2-1. And Bangladesh's Mushfiqur Rahim has been ruled out of the remaining 2 matches of the ODI series against Afghanistan. And this comes after the 37-year-old wicketkeeper batter suffered a finger injury. Bangladesh lost the first ODI to Afghanistan by 92 runs. The remaining 2 matches will be played tomorrow and again on the 11th of November. And Afghanistan's star all-rounder Mohammad Nabi has announced his retirement from one-day international format. Nabi will retire next year after the Champions Trophy in Pakistan. Nabi made his ODI debut in 2009. The 39-year-old retired from Test cricket in 2019. And in football news, Kylian Mbappe is out of France's national squad once again. The latest omission comes for the Nations League, in which the star striker was not named for France's game against Israel and Italy. Previously, Mbappe was not selected for October matches against Israel and Belgium. And Barcelona has crushed Red Star Belgrade 5-2 in the Champions League. Inigo Martinez gave Barcelona the lead in the 13th minute. Red Stars Silas had equalized for the Red Stars 14 minutes later, and Robert Lewandowski's brace gave Barcelona a 2-goal advantage. Rafinha and Fermin Lopez extended Barcelona's lead to seal the game. And Manchester United beat the Premier Greek club PAOK FC 2-0 in the Europa League. The midfielder Amand Diallo scored both the goals for the English side, and this is United's first win in any European competition in more than a year. And defending WTA Finals champion Iga Swiatek has been eliminated from the season-ending championship. And this came after world number 3 Coco Gauff lost out to a Czech tennis player yesterday. Swiatek failed to finish in the top 2 of her group, which led to her exit. And Formula One drivers have urged sports governing body FIA to treat them like adults. And this comes after Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc were punished for using foul language. The Grand Prix Drivers Association urged the FIA to understand the difference between swearing intended to insult others and more casual swearing. Indian hockey's governing body announced year-long celebrations to commemorate 100 years of Indian hockey. In 1925, India's first national body to govern hockey-related affairs was formed in Gwalior. In Olympics, the Indian men's hockey team have won 8 gold medals, 1 silver and 3 bronze. India remain the most successful men's hockey side in Olympic history. And India underlined its religious diversity and ancient trade routes while bidding to host the 2036 Summer Olympics. Now, last month, the International Olympic Committee formally got India's bid to host the 2036 Olympic Games. According to reports, India's letter of intent for the Games focused on New Delhi's continued rise on the global stage. And in entertainment news, comedian and television host Jimmy Kimmel is not particularly happy with Donald Trump's victory. During his show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, the host, with tears in his eyes, stated, and I quote, "More than half of this country voted for the criminal who is planning to pardon himself for his crimes." He called the election night a terrible one for women, children, and immigrants. Meanwhile, singer Madonna shared her frustration on social media. She posted an image of a cake which had F Trump written on it. The singer stated in the caption that she stuffed her face with the cake. She further posted that she is trying to get her head around why a convicted felon, rapist, bigot was chosen to lead the US. And 3 individuals have been charged in connection with the death of singer Liam Payne. The accused are allegedly a drug dealer, a hotel employee, and a friend of the singer. They allegedly provided Payne with drugs before his death. Singer Liam Payne died on the 16th of October after falling from his hotel's balcony in Argentina. And rapper Sean Diddy Combs' son Christian has taken over the rapper's social media account. He has been posting positive videos of the rapper from the account. Christian stated that he wants to take people on a walk down the positive memory lane. Combs is awaiting trial for the charges of sexual assault and racketeering. The biopic of American singer Bruce Springsteen is under production. The makers have now added Mark Maron, Gabby Hoffman, and David Krumholtz to the cast. They will be sharing the screen space with Dune actor Jeremy Allen White, and the film is titled Deliver Me from Nowhere. And the release date of Robert Pattinson and Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17 has been postponed. The film, which was earlier scheduled to release in January next year, will now hit theaters in April. The film can now benefit from the Easter holiday time with its new release date. And Denzel Washington says that people are going to be blown away by Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2. He described Gladiator 2 as the biggest film he's ever been on. Washington said that the makers hired thousands of people for its battle scenes to make it look more realistic. The actor is playing the role of Macrinus. The film will release this month. And a new Star Wars trilogy film is in the works. It is being helmed by X-Men Alum Simon Kinberg. The new film will pick up from where the 2019 Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker ended. The plot details are under wraps. And actor Courtney Cox revealed that actor Jennifer Aniston took a lot of dresses from the Friends set. Cox further stated in an interview that Aniston has held on to all of those pieces, and Courtney Cox played the role of Monica Geller on the show. Cox and Aniston are also real-life friends. Indian superstars Salman and Shah Rukh Khan recently received death threats separately. Shah Rukh Khan received a phone call from a man in Raipur city. He demanded a payment of nearly $60,000. Meanwhile, Salman Khan received a threat via text message. According to reports, the message was sent by the gangster Lawrence Bishnoi's gang. They reportedly demanded a payment of nearly $600,000. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Vantage.